well, not that much time now, yeah. So that means I have to film what I can while I can in order to have some reasonable video record of my time here. There's a good old monorail going by. I found it rather too slow in winter, in winter it's okay, but in summer too hot. This is a monorail station. You can also see, of course, the Ostankino Tower. Yeah, I mean, basically, when it comes to working in Russia, there are lots of things which appear illogical. They're not necessarily logical in the way you think they are. Sometimes one thing which appears illogical follows on from something else, and is a perfectly logical follow-on from it, and then it goes back to something else, which is to something else, which is something else, and then it all goes back to the fact that first principles of things Russians sometimes understand differently, and then everything else is then reinterpreted along the lines that they start off from, in what would be probably a perfectly logical manner, but absolutely incompatible. You know, it's like driving on the left instead of driving on the right. That's the way things are done in business. I mean, the role that different documents have, or the way that people do their bureaucracy, so completely different. The approach to life is different, and you can get caught out even when you think, okay, well, I know the language. You can get caught out with the way that things are done, and not only foreigners, but also, even I've noticed, because some of my clients have this, they've employed real Russians coming back from places like Germany that speak fluent Russian but were educated and had their first couple of jobs in Germany. It's not the language really that causes the lack of understanding, because these people are floundering as well and completely at a loss to understand why certain things are being required of them, and why certain things are being taken seriously and other things are not being taken seriously that they would take seriously. So yeah, it's like a parallel universe in many ways, the way that things go on in Russia. And you know, the people, obviously, they're not any worse than we are in the main. Some of them are very hearty, decent, and great. You know, you see a lot of very nice aspects to the Russian people, but the fact that there's so much difference in even the basics of the way things are done, the fact that it is a bit of a parallel universe, means that distrust can appear just through misunderstanding. And when you look at the geopolitical map of things, you can see how this is now developing. And I think that the only way that we're going to actually get around this is for the West to do more understanding of Russia and Russian language, one side, obviously, and all the other things like history, culture, geography, the whole works, politics, you know, you name it, to understand the way that Russians think and Russia works on top of the language. Language is just one layer of it. And then, of course, the reverse, that Russians have to try as well to understand. And there has to be an exchange. I mean, one of the reasons why Central Europe came on so fast is that there was extensive exchange and a readiness from Central Europe to take on certain aspects. And you can say what you like about the European Union and the acquis and everything, but it certainly meant that the pace in Eastern Europe, or in what we call Central Europe, Poland, Czech Republic and what have you, that pace was very fast. And the changes took place very fast, whereas in Russia they do change, and some of the changes have really put them ahead of the game. Like the extent to which, well, smoking this time last year was still permitted in every restaurant, and many restaurants that I wanted to go to, I simply couldn't walk through the door. Now, they have a complete ban of smoking, much more far-going than in any of the countries in Central Europe I've seen. In fact, they've even issued an app whereby you can photograph somebody and report them as to where they're smoking and what's going on, report them, and from the app the police will turn up in plain clothes, grab the person who's smoking and give them a whacking great big fine. um, which will probably be at least a month of their salary. So people are, and you've actually got to stay a minimum number of meters from a building of the sort where you're not allowed to smoke. So you're not allowed to smoke in the building, and also about 10 meters away from the door. So you don't get the situation like you get in the West, where you can barely get in and out of buildings without inhaling people's smoke because they're standing near the door. And of course in Russia, where often you get some extreme weather going on once you get outside the porch area, this is really tough on them. Russia, of course, could go the whole way and easily just completely ban the import and the domestic production of cigarettes. So this is something which the West just simply can't do. So Russia's got potential to actually put in laws in place which make them, able to do at a sweep what it takes the European Union and including Central Europe a long time to do, and the pace in Russia can be startlingly fast when they want to, and then overall somehow it doesn't seem to be that fast. It seems to be like the old Russian saying, "Dva shaga vперед, один шаг назад." The other question in most Russians' heads will be, why should we change anything that we like about ourselves? Why should we change for somebody else's benefit? Aren't we a great nation? And the answer to that is, well, yes, one of the things I like about Russia is that it is a great enough nation not to be simply bending over backwards and doing everything that the West wants them to. So if of course we came to a situation where we all understood each other because we're all in the same system in the way that we are, for example, with Poland now, although it's not a perfect match, it's still a much closer match, more than halfway from where Russia is, I would say. Still, that comes at a loss. You gain something, but you also lose something. Something which, at the moment, I've experienced. Maybe it will be that in 10 years' time, all of this, Russia simply gives up the ghost and decides it is going to let America go in. But you know what that really means? I mean, effectively, it means that we're coming into one stage closer to world government, and everything that Christians, especially evangelical Christians, with varying permutations of the end times theology, but basically Christians have reason to fear, in one sense, fear because it's going to be a tough time, not fear overall because we know that Jesus will overcome, and it's a sign as well that things are coming to an end, that Jesus will appear and put things right.